Hi, my name's Rob Scott from UC Today News, and in this session I'm joined by Microsoft and Q-SYS, and they're going to be talking about how they're delivering exceptional experiences in high impact spaces. So stand by for a great conversation. Welcome Vic and Matt.
Hello Rob, how are you?
Great to see you both. Thanks for joining me. Really excited about today's session. Really hot topic right now. I suppose first of all, Vic, can you elaborate on how Q-SYS is positioning itself in the market, especially in the context of Microsoft's advancements and recent Frost & Sullivan research on high impact spaces?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of studies going on, and I think it's very timely as we're all embracing hybrid work more, and we're looking at our real estate footprints and what we want to do and how we support employees and the type of collaboration they want to have wherever they are. And so what we're actually finding is there's a growth in these rooms called high impact spaces. And these are typically rooms that need to be a little more flexible. They have requirements of advanced audio, video distribution, control, and automation. And they typically go beyond the scope and beyond the needs of a traditional small, medium, or large room. So that's one of the focuses where Q-SYS really excels in terms of being able to deliver solutions for high impact spaces, because we are a software-based platform that specializes in advanced audio, video distribution, control, and automation. And it's been great working with Microsoft to help bring Teams and Q-SYS together to these spaces. A lot of these high impact spaces used to be in person only, and making them hybrid enabled has been super important.
Fantastic. Matt, anything to add?
No, I think Vic summarized that quite nicely on some of the research that they've been doing on the high impact spaces, and we see that as a valuable space as well as meetings have continued to proliferate beyond just in-person to virtual to hybrid now, and that value that they're adding.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Matt, how is the rise of hybrid work influencing the design and functionality of these office spaces, and what challenges does this present, end customers?
I mean, we're really living through a period where there's two foundational paradigm shifts in the way that work is happening. The first is anchored around the rise of artificial intelligence and AI, and just the rapid growth that we've seen over the past 12 months from that. And the digital debt is what we're talking about here at Microsoft through our Work Trends Index reports on people struggling with just overload from the amount of digital communications, mails, etc. that they're receiving, and how AI can start to play into that. But then also the other, that foundational paradigm shift in the way that we're working is really around flexibility. And so, I mean, what we're really seeing is it's being demanded by employees, and the dust is slowly starting to settle, and we're still in it, but there's really no organizations that have anchored like pure remote at this point, nor have they really been anchoring on that pure in person. And so that notion of hybrid or flexible is really where we're seeing a lot of the dust settle and kind of where it's starting to lead to. And that's really kind of playing on a whole bunch of different themes coming together under that umbrella of flexibility. There's some consolidation of commercial real estate, as you would no longer need your full workforce in the office 5 days a week. And so if you're in 2-3 days a week, you can get a bit fluid with how you are having those employees in the office. And that then allows for a consolidation of how much real estate you actually need. And then that leads to the notion of the experience in the office needs to be worth coming in for. And so it crosses not just the notion of having in-person connection with your colleagues around you in the office, which is a wonderful reason to come into the office. However, when we were in the pandemic, everybody showed up into a meeting the exact same way. Everybody was represented by a size of the square, no matter who they were in the company, they all showed up in the exact same manner. And then as we start to come back into the office, that expectation for how you're represented within a meeting whether you're in person in a room or whether you are purely remote, has significantly been elevated beyond the experience of pre-pandemic, when most people were in person, and those remote employees were also potentially not as represented as well throughout, relative to where they are now. And so, I mean, we're seeing those trends kind of happen, and that notion of that experience in the office has to be worth coming in for, and the expectations have been elevated to what you expect as you are joining a meeting. And so kind of pulling those threads all together, that's why I'm so excited to be here talking with you, Rob and Vic, on some of the things that we as Microsoft and Microsoft Teams are doing with Q-SYS to help kind of improve that experience that you are experiencing when you're in the office and you're meeting with remote employees as well. And so in that true hybrid meeting fashion.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. Any thoughts on that, Vic?
Yeah, so Matt touched on some great things here in terms of flexibility and people coming back into the office to meet for different things. What we're actually seeing is a lot of teams choose to come back to the office when they need to collaborate together. Or you bring the employees back in when you're doing an all hands meeting. But then as we're looking at changing up the real estate footprint we have, we need to build spaces that can go from meeting type to meeting type very simply and easily. So a lot of flexible spaces are one of the things that are coming up in this emerging category of high impact spaces. So being able to switch, let's say, from 2 brainstorming rooms when you have your team coming in to strategize on what we're doing next, turning that into an all hands space, and being able to leverage all of that equipment to bring in hybrid and remote workers or subject matter experts onto that is critical. So, touching on all the points that Matt had said, but focusing in also on the in-room experience for the people that are gathering and providing those little touches are super important. Another thing that we're hearing a lot from customers is, can I purpose a common area and repurpose that to be more of an all hands space? And when it's not in all hands mode, if you will, can I make that environment a little more inviting? Can I play background music? Can I have some TV or news streaming or sports? With the Olympics coming in, it's a great way to kind of bring employees back together. And those are different ways where you can leverage the power of flexibility in high impact spaces and different features to accommodate all of that.
Yeah, it's amazing how far we've come. It's got so hard, hasn't it, to satisfy the company and the employee now in terms of where to work. And I love that movement towards repurposing spaces. I think that is what we're seeing a lot nowadays. Is everyone's trying to explore how to use spaces more efficiently in this hybrid workplace or work style. So I just want to double click, Matt, on the AI piece for a moment again, and in terms of Microsoft Teams and features. I mean, what is Microsoft doing to Teams to kind of help shape these environments and the future of employee experience, if you will?
Features that we have recently announced that are continuing to roll out that are focusing solely on the AI component, but then also the flexibility. I mean, starting with that AI component, one of the big hot topics that we continue to hear significant amount of interest from our customers in is with Microsoft Copilot right now. And so having that integration of generative AI through so many of the Microsoft applications, including Teams, I mean, it really just is impressive as you start to use in what you're able to do. I mean, you show up 10 minutes late to a meeting, you can quickly query it to figure out what you may have missed in those 10 minutes. And then also within Microsoft Teams with intelligent meeting recap. And so if you were to miss a meeting, you were able to then see the recap of that meeting and able to figure out when my name might have been brought up, what my action items are, etc. So we're seeing AI proliferate throughout the Teams desktop experience for individuals, but then also to tie back to some of what Vic was saying and to tie back to that flexibility component of that paradigm shift. I mean, there's significant advancements that we've made in Microsoft Teams rooms that started early days in the pandemic of I mean, it completely disrupted everything that we had on the product roadmap, etc., and really allowed us to start over with a blank sheet of paper and figure out this is the opportunity to ask the question, what would we do different now that the way the world has changed so much? And one of the big outcomes from that was signature Teams rooms. And so a signature Teams room is taking that known and loved Microsoft Teams Rooms experience, optimized for the shared spaces. So optimized for users within a shared space, but then elevating it with intelligent hardware as well as furniture and room design to really create the most inclusive and collaborative meeting experience possible. And so one of the key components of that has been spatial audio. And we have been working very closely with Vic and the entire Q-SYS team to ultimately bring spatial audio to life in Front Row. And so if you're not familiar with Front Row, one of the most visual striking differences that you would see is the gallery of remote attendees has been moved down to the bottom of the screen. And what that does is it allows for when the screen is positioned at eye level that you are essentially sitting at the same table with the remote attendees of that meeting. So you're not having to look way up to the corner where the screen is to see somebody to make that level of eye contact when your camera might be mounted over here and then you're actually not making eye contact with them, etc. So it's kind of mirroring the eye contact as well as where remote attendees are positioned in the gallery, then to have that more natural, inclusive feeling. And then spatial audio is really what takes that to the next level. And so based off of where a remote attendee is located in the gallery, it'll activate those speakers that are located closest to where they're positioned in the gallery. And so, for example, if this was in a Front Row and Vic was located over here, I would then naturally hear his voice coming from where he is located in the screen. And it's incredible. It is amazing to experience this because when you're in back-to-back-to-back meetings all day or hours upon hours, it's those little nuances, those little changes that really reduce the meeting fatigue, that really just make it feel like we're all sitting around the exact same table. And so we continue to partner and invest on the ways that we can ultimately create the most inclusive meeting experiences, no matter if you're looking in the office or remote and trying to bridge those gaps.
Yeah, and for anyone that hasn't experienced spatial audio, it is something else. It really is like having a Teams call in the cinema with intelligence because the cameras are moving around at the same time as the audio. So it truly is a fantastic experience, and as you say, Matt, it's worlds apart from your classic desktop call. Vic, over to you. I mean, how is this collaboration between Q-SYS and Microsoft driving innovation in spatial audio, and what impact do you see this having on the user experience in these high impact spaces?
Yeah, so as Matt said, this is one of those features. It seems so small, but it makes such a big impact, right, in terms of reducing meeting fatigue, making the engagements feel a lot more natural and inclusive. It's so funny when we've demoed this and as we've been working on this together, you just see people sitting there, and as the meeting is going on and the different people along the bottom of the screen are speaking, the heads just shift like it's a tennis match, right? And it's just like it is in a normal meeting with people sitting across the table from you. So I think it's those little nuances, those advanced features that we can use to elevate the in-room experience, just so critical in changing the paradigm and dynamic. And it has been great to work with the Microsoft team in kind of bringing this feature to market. Because we're a software-based platform, we were able to innovate and quick turn these features super quickly. I think we went from initial request to first delivery of a prototype in 10 days.
Wow.
And then we're able to work with the development teams on both sides and engage to really fine tune it and make sure we were getting the right experience, not only in the room, but also make sure we were preserving that great Teams audio experience for all the remote participants, and they weren't getting extra echo or anything like that. So that was a great thing to work with, that, bring this feature to market. And then you pair that up with the flexibility that Q-SYS can bring into high impact spaces. Because we have a large portfolio of team certified devices, you're able to actually build audio and video solutions, purpose build them to the needs of the room. So you're not sacrificing quality, you're maintaining the expected experience you get from team certified devices. And it's great now to be able to say that we can offer the first certified Teams room audio solution that's supporting spatial audio. So we're really, really excited about that.
Great. Well, in terms of, the whole experience, Matt, what would you say in terms of, do you echo that in terms of user experience? I know you've already touched on this, but anything else to add there?
Yeah, I think I was fortunate enough, and I know, Vic, you partnered with us over the past few months, that we built out a room at the Executive Briefing Center in Redmond on Microsoft's campus. And in that room, was able to experience the spatial audio experience that Vic was just mentioning. And it continues to amaze me. it's as Vic said, it's those the smaller items that actually aren't small at all, and they just feel that way, or they sound that way initially when you hear about them, but when you actually experience it, it's those little tweaks that is fundamentally just completely breaking down the barriers of a meeting and making the technology fade to the background, and you're just truly meeting with the attendees of the meeting, just like you would be in person. And so, along the same lines, with spatial audio in front row, we've removed the background, and so we're using AI to remove individuals' background when they're in front row as well, and putting it across a unified background. And so then it truly does feel like everyone's sitting around the same table, based off of they all have the same background, as well as all showing up in the same size. So if you're sitting closer to the camera, you'll be shrunk down a little bit, so all remote attendees show up the same size, paired with spatial audio, and it feels like you're at the exact same table of your remote attendees. It's amazing.
And that's a great place to end, isn't it? Vic, as we do wrap up, what's the one thing that you'd like our audience to take away from today's discussion, and where can they go to learn more about these transformative technologies?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, it's focusing in on the experience you want to deliver, both in room and to the remote participant. So spatial audio is a great example of one of those things that we've worked together on jointly. Matt has talked about some other things that Microsoft has brought to the forefront as well. We also have some different AI camera technologies that we have when you want to create a more focused experience on Active Talker only, with our recent acquisition of Seer Vision. So that would be the one thing I would say for everyone to really remember is really think about the experience you want to deliver for that type of meeting and in the space. And if it's multiple types of experiences that you need to work through, build that space with flexibility. You can learn more at qsys.com/beyondboundaries, and also at Microsoft Ignite, our virtual showcase page, and that's just ignite.microsoft.com.
Fantastic. Well, seeing is believing, of course. Matt, by the time we air this, it will be Microsoft Ignite. What's the best way to find out more on this topic?
Absolutely. So there'll be a few different sessions at Microsoft Ignite that will be available, I believe, shortly after this comes out. And so the Get Ready for the Future of Work is one of the sessions, as well as the Shared Space Innovations with Teams, Rooms, and Devices are the two sessions that will really be focusing on Teams Rooms, Teams Devices, and some of the items that we've touched on here today. I think Vicky also mentioned the Q-SYS virtual showcase as part of the Ignite page is another spot that there will be more information to learn about spatial audio, as well as all of the additional Q-SYS solutions that Vic and team are bringing out there, which is exciting. And I think the other item I'd like to leave with as well is talking about all of the advancements and breaking down those barriers and those making the most inclusive and collaborative meetings possible, it really comes down to the levels of partnerships that we as Microsoft on the software side can then partner with partners like Q-SYS and Vic on the hardware side to truly come together and deliver the best possible experience. We wouldn't be able to do it alone on the software side. Similarly, it's very difficult to do alone on the hardware side too. And so it's marrying those together, and the partnership that we have with Q-SYS on this has been absolutely wonderful to continue to bring features like spatial audio to life, and I'm excited for you all to get out there and experience them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. Q-SYS and Microsoft sounds like a great partnership, solving some real world challenges. So Vic and Matt, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And thanks to everyone for tuning in. I'll put a link to the Q-SYS Beyond Boundaries page in the description below, and a link to Microsoft Ignite. And we certainly look forward to bringing you more insightful discussions in the future and about the future of work. So I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.